Hi, I'm Leanne Agurkis with CA Technologies and Smart Enterprise. I'm here at the RSA Conference 2014, and I'm with Scott Morrison, a distinguished engineer with CA Technologies and the former CTO at Layer 7. And Scott, I hear you guys had an API workshop yesterday.
Yeah, listen, Leanne, it was great. We had a number of people who came to learn about how to secure APIs and what you should do. The title was basically 5 things you should be doing to secure your APIs right now. And the real theme of the talk is this idea that basically there's a number of bad habits that web developers have that have developed fairly legitimately over the years that really we have to stop in their tracks. What we don't want to do is have those bad habits move into the API world. Instead, what we need is a clean break. We need to recognize what those problems are and then move away from them once and for all and make APIs basically as secure as they possibly can be.
Well, what are some of those things that you were advising developers and architects to think about when it comes to API development?
Well, listen, there's basically 5 big areas that you have to think about. The first one is parameterization. One of the big problems on the web, of course, has been problems like injection attacks. It could be SQL injection attacks or script injection attacks like cross-site scripting. Now, these have been widely deployed and exploited on the World Wide Web, but they're exactly as relevant in the API space, and in fact can do quite a bit more damage. So one of the things that we advise people to do is to scan the data coming into your system all the time and looking for attacks like this. Be scanning your content models, basically try to create as tight a schema around your data as you possibly can, and that'll stop a lot of these problems in their tracks. Another one is volume. A big problem, of course, are things like denial of services attacks. But at the same time, you have to be able to recognize the difference between a classic denial of service attack and just real volume from perhaps your success of whatever app you're putting out there. And so we have a few pieces of guidance, like making sure you're doing caching effectively, looking very carefully at where the traffic is coming from, and then putting rate limits to make on all of your traffic to make sure that your back-end systems aren't in any way compromised because of huge volume coming in. And then confidentiality, of course, is a classic example of one of these things that in the web we kind of take for granted, but we don't apply all the time. SSL, of course, is a real foundation technology of the internet, but we really only use it on the web for what we consider the important stuff. In other words, when we put a credit card in. And the reason for that is traditionally SSL is very, very expensive. It took a good 25-35% of your CPU cycles to suck them right out of your servers. So everybody really got into this habit of only using it for the really important stuff. Now the truth is, today in 2014, we should be using SSL for all of our web services style RESTful transactions. No questions. Absolutely. Because it's just not expensive anymore. This is a time when CPU is cheap, and we should be using that CPU for good purposes. And the good purpose is to secure all of those transactions. It's a simple thing, but it makes a huge difference. SSL all the time for every API, period.
That's a great theme.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, identity is a huge one. We were fortunate yesterday. We had Eve Mailer, Forrester analyst, talking about really the huge, I think, explosion in identity technologies right now and capability, moreover, that these technologies are bringing to us. And this is a really exciting time in identity. And CA, of course, is right in the middle of this, with our support for technologies like OAuth and things like OpenID Connect. These are tremendously important in helping us bridge between different applications, between different organizations, between the cloud, the enterprise, and even between social computing. So this is an area that we're big advocates of using things like OAuth, OpenID Connect, SCIM, technologies like that. It's something you can do today. It's mature enough today to be using, and really we advise that it's an important thing to jump onto. And then last but not least really is implementations. Don't roll your own. Now, security can be very easy, but it's still a hard thing to do on your own. What we really advise is look for proven solutions. And of course, in CA Technologies, we have a very broad range of very, very good technologies that really let you go from the enterprise out to cloud and then out to mobile devices as well. We sort of tie all of these things together and do it safely, securely, with proven solutions. That's why Layer 7 came into CA. We're really excited to be here, and we're really excited, of course, to be here at the RSA show this year.
Wow, that was a great wrap-up.
Thank you.
I'm Leanna Gurkis with Smart Enterprise and CA Technologies at RSA 2014.